In this video, I'm making a costume from my favorite TV series, The Great. And first, I thought of making it in the fabric that I already have in my stash. But the thing is that this dress is really simple, and it's the color combinations that actually fascinated me the most about it, and the big bow in the front too. So I saw these two fabrics in the store, the colors, the pink. It's a little bit lighter than I wanted it to be, but this was the only one that was available. And then I found this pretty turquoise satin fabric, which is, I think, 100% polyester, but it looks really pretty in real life. And yeah, it's also a little bit, it goes into the blue color range too much. I think the original one is more green than blue, but I thought this would be a nice color combination too. And this dress is actually more difficult than it looks, especially the bow in the front, since I wanted to make the closure in the front, because I think in the original dress they made the closure in the back, and I'm suspecting that it is a zipper, but I'm not 100% sure. So I'm making it in the front, and I have to separate the bows, I think. So this will be kind of like a challenge to make this separate. So yeah. And I found this pattern from the Janet Arnold Patterns of Fashion book, and I thought that would fit my dress perfectly. I only had to make little adjustments. The easiest way for me to transfer the pattern into the real size one is to frame each one, so I know where it begins and where it starts, and then count my little squares. And I have to make it from inch into centimeters, which was quite annoying, and it took, I think, 1.5 hours for me in total. But yeah, and also I had to measure each side seam to make sure that they align or they match. So, and the mock-up actually looked quite good in the front, and I used the hooks that come already in the store with a stripe. So I did that, and as you can see in the back, it looks yeah, it's just a mess and too big, so I had to make adjustments. And I don't know how that actually happened, but that's what mock-ups are for, right? So I'm attaching my sleeve, which was surprisingly easy to fit in, but still I felt that the neckline was too high and the shoulder strap was too thin, so I have to make it bigger. And for the skirt, I decided to pleat them on my dress form. It was the easiest method for me, and I'm also trying to match it with the picture that I printed out with all the details from this episode. And then I hand stitched them so they are secured. And and of course cutting the length. My dress form is already my perfect size because I made it like this. That's why I'm making everything on the dress form. And then I made my waistbands. And I decided to make a hook off camera because I thought it's just faster and easier with a little opening, and the bottom is just one seam. I didn't line the skirt or anything, I just left it like this because I thought it was not necessary. I started with the lining first, and here I'm using a 100% Bodice, and it's in the middle of thin and thick, so I thought it was perfect to make the outer layer more stable, so to give the body a little bit of structure. But the sleeve I made in a thinner one, because I have the pleats in the shoulder or in the armhole, so I was just afraid that it would be too thick in the end. I decided to make the hooks first, since I have to try on the bodice multiple times to see how it fits. So I did that first, and also I attached the front lining too, so I don't have to bother with finishing the front, and then securing everything. And afterwards I'm closing all the seams for the lining, and finally I can see how it looks like on my dress form. And as you can see, I had still to make adjustments, especially in the back, but it was not that much, to be honest. So I closed all the seams from my outer layer, and also did the boning channels for the plastic wheel bones that I wanted to use, and also making a channel in the front and lining my sleeves. Putting the sleeve into the armhole was actually more difficult than I thought. It was such a hustle, and it took me 1 hour to figure out what I did wrong because the armhole was way too small, and I had to cut the armhole lower. So yeah, this was really difficult. And afterwards I focused on my neckline, doing all the decoration. Because the satin was really difficult to iron and the seams wouldn't stay flat, so I secured them with a running stitch, closed the bottom of the bodice, and then I could focus on the big bow in the front, and I'm trying to figure out how to make it work. But yeah, I decided to make the bow into 2 halves and then attach the other half to the other side where the knot is. I put first I put hooks inside, but later I found out that was not really holding the shape, so I used buttons, and The last step was making the ruffles for the sleeve with my zigzag scissors that are not historical accurate at all, but I didn't have any other tools. And I only had to make the tiny bows for the sleeves, and then I was basically done. The finished dress turned out to be a complete mess, to be honest. The bodice was too short because when I move, you can see my waistband showing, and I'm guessing all the issues happened or might be because of the ill-fitted sleeves. Because in the mock-up the neckline was definitely where it's supposed to be, and I already made it shorter, so I don't know why it is so high. And also the back, it's just too tight. And I guess I made the neckline, the running stitches, also too tight or something. I have no idea. And the bow is also not completely in the middle. Yeah, I have a lot of issues here. But I like the skirt. And I have some fabric left, so I actually could make a second bodice. But I have a lot of more projects to come, so I'm excited for that. And I definitely learned a lot from this project, and I hope you too, you learn from my mistakes. I hope you like this video, and see you in the next one. Bye!